Hey everyone, Andrew Hess here. Just getting back from the Power Platform Conference. It was awesome meeting you. I think this was the best Power Platform Conference I went to. So many different types of people, a broad range of knowledge from Fabric to AI to Power Apps. And based on a question from one of you at the Power Platform Conference, I was going to show how to just simply use Power Automate and ChatGPT 5 API, right? So we can do a separate video on Azure Foundry, but we're going to go over how to do verbosity, effort, and how to use a system prompt in Power Automate with ChatGPT 5. Let's get into it. All right, so first off, what we're going to do is we're going to go to ChatGPT API. This is not the normal ChatGPT that you go to. ChatGPT API. And this is where we're going to go is the API platform. So we're going to go right here to the API platform. You need to have your own credentials. All of this you do have to pay for. You have to pay for your own credits. This is Power Automate Premium. So if you're not looking to pay for anything, go on to the next video. But I mean, you can throw $10 in and kind of mess around and see what you can do. So once you log in, you're going to be in this working area, right? So there's documentation here, API reference, dashboard, all this different amount of data. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new project. So I like to store my keys based on the project. So I'm going to create a new project, GPT-5 test YouTube. All right, so I'm going to create a new project. And in this project here, so we have a new project, we are going to create a new API key. I go to the dashboard, API keys, then create a new secret key. And you make sure that you choose the correct project, right? So choose the correct project, GPT-5 today. And you could do a service count if you want. If you have multiple people using this, you could do a service account. For me, I'm just deving, I'm just testing. So we're gonna just do a key for me today. I'm probably going to skip this part of the video because I'm gonna grab the key. So once I click this right here, there will be a key that pops up, okay? All right, so I have my key. I copied that to Notepad. Now let's go over to Power Automate. Now I'm gonna click on, let me zoom in. I'm going to click on solutions. I'm going to create a solution for this. And it's just going to help me actually present this in YouTube better because you won't be able to see my key. So GPT-5 solution. One great reason to use solutions with Power Automate is then you get version history. That's one of the biggest reasons to use solutions. All right, so looks good. I have a solution. All right, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to click new. I'm going to go down to more, and I'm going to create an environment variable. And this is going to be my API key and my GPT-5 API key. Now we could do different GPTs, but we're focusing on GPT-5 today. Now, if you were doing this for production, people would argue you should use an Azure Key Vault, but right, I'm dev testing. I do think it's still useful to do a text value here. And so default value, think about this. You're in an environment. You're in an environment, not my default, right? You're in an environment, in a dev environment. This is going to be your default value where you are in this environment. You're going to store your API key. If you were to move the solution to test or to production, you would then change the current value, or you maybe don't need to with the API key. Maybe you have a dev API key and a production API key. You would then change the API value to production API key. All right, so I'm just going to put it in there for my default and current value for now. All right, so now I've stored my API key in the solution. Now what I'm going to do is new, automation, Cloudflow, instant. I want to remove all these other variables. We're going to keep this simple. Instant Cloudflow, when you click on a button, GPT-5 test. Now, some people may say maybe you should do a custom connector. Maybe you should do an HTTP call. But today we're learning. So we're going to do an HTTP call to keep it simple first. So our first step and our only step for right now is an HTTP call. And this is premium. Once again, this is premium. And we are going to post to ChatGPT. So let's kind of look at the documentation. I'm going to go to Docs. There is a section here using GPT-5. We can come down in here. You see how it has a drop down? We're going to want to use the curl, right? The curl is what we're going to do in Power Automate. You could do Python or JavaScript. There's other ways to do it. But today, we're going to focus on just this simple curl. And I'm going to take the URL here. And I'm going to put it in the URI, the URL here. We want the content type of application JSON. Okay, we want authorization in the header. And then we want to take this bearer and the space. Okay, so you need bearer and a space there. And then I can pull in my API key environmental variable, and it make sure that space is there. That's got me a couple times. There needs to be a space. All right, now in the body, make this nice and simple. We're just going to grab GPT-5. Reasoning is something new with GPT-5. We're going to say write a haiku. We're just going to take the exact example that they have right now. And I'm going to put that in the body. And I'm just kind of get rid of some of those spaces in there. Save, and we're going to test. Like, that's all I'm doing. Let's keep this very simple. All right, now test, manual test. Let's let it run one time. Now, it's going to write a haiku poem for us. And usually with AI, now I have seen it repeat the same thing. Usually with AI, you get different responses every time, right? That's the whole point of AI, that it thinks of new things. So here we are. We click on the HTTP method. We come down to outputs. Let's look at the output here. So I want to see it in a better view. It's not letting me see it in a good view. So I'm going to switch over to, let's try it again. Click it here. There we go. Now I'm in the new modern Power Automate. And so now here, well, let's move me again. If we look at the outputs, I'm in the way again. If we look at the outputs right down here, this is where our haiku is. So you see that? Let's see if we can open that up more. Can we? I can't really open it up more, but right here, silent logic hums, night screens bloom, with the fragile light, bugs scatter at dawn. That's what it returned for us. Okay, so look at how a lot of times I may reach out to like Copilot. Let's do that. Let me show you how I grab that. So you see this text right here? I'm going to grab everything up here, Control C. I'll show you how I grab this a lot of times. I go to Copilot, I go to M360 Copilot, I go to ChatGPT, whatever LLM you want to. Just say, I want to write a compose that grabs the text out of my HTTP action. And then paste in that JSON that we copied there. Let's see how well it does. This one says body output. That it looks like it could be, oh, your HTTP action name here, first where body. I mean, that's not bad. That's a lot of so I'm gonna try this one. Let's try this right here. Body. And my action name, I'll tell it, my action name is HTTP, right? It's actually HTTP. All right. Oh, look, it even knows silent logic hums. All right. So now I'm going to edit. I'm going to write a compose statement. Some people like to parse, but I don't know. I really like to do it like this. It's maybe a preference. And so now let's go ahead and test again. My thought is it's going to come up with a new poem. It's not going to be that silent hum, everything. There's going to be a brand new haiku. All right, go ahead, publish. Now test. Testing. Let's see what populates in our compose this time. HTTP, okay. It's going. No raw outputs. It did not come out. And I'm gonna leave this error in here. A lot of times what I do to fix this is I change this to outputs, right? Because it's actually the outputs, not the body. So let's try one more time. And take a look at that. I'll go slow. Right here, it's outputs of the HTTP body output. The first one, which is actually the second, content 0 in the text. So let's go ahead and give it another manual test. This time, I believe it's going to come out with a new Haiku. So it's going to be a little different than last time. But that's kind of how I use Copilot to do it. For some reason, Copilot always pulls in body, and then I switch it to outputs. This happens in ChatGPT, Copilot. It kind of happens in all of them. But let's take a look at our compose here. So now you can see right here, look at this. Silent loops at night, logic hums and tidy lines, bugs blossom and then fade. And don't worry, you don't have to stick with GPT-5, right? You have GPT-5 Mini, which is a little bit cheaper. It's 25 cents per 1 million, I think. Yes, so 1 million tokens. And you even have the GPT-5 Nano, which is 5 cents per 1 million tokens, right? So let's go ahead, let's try and switch it to GPT-5 Nano. So let's go to our flow. We'll change it to GPT-5-Nano, and then the effort we'll do minimal. And so that way it's super fast, right? It's gonna be really fast. Let's publish and go ahead and give it a try. It's gonna be a lot cheaper and faster this time if you didn't want to, pay that much for your GPT. There's reasons to do minimal and low. There's reasons. It depends on, how much you want to pay. Maybe you only wanted to categorize, but did you just see how fast that was? Super, super fast, right? And so there's our Haiku. It still came up with a brilliant Haiku. There's no reason to do high effort for this Haiku, and there's no reason to pay for all of GPT-5, right? We can easily get away with using the Nano model for 5 cents per 1 million tokens. All right, so let's raise our effort up. And effort is something new to GPT-5. I believe, you could do it before, but now you can call on it. So you can now say earlier reasoning models like O3 supported only low, medium, and high. This one now has minimal, which I believe is that super fast response. So we can change the effort to either minimal, low, medium, or high. Right up here, right? So let's change our effort to high. Let's go ahead and change the effort to high. And let's make it think a little bit. So look up current philosophy, how to take care of a puppy during a hurricane, right? Because I'm on the East Coast, we're getting hurricanes right now, right? A beautiful 15-line haiku. All right, so now the effort's going to go up. This is going to take a lot longer, I believe. But reasoning has gone way up. I'm not sure how long this will take, but instead of making you wait, I'll just we'll skip, and then you'll be like, oh, it took that long. We'll have the timing right there. All right, we're back. So it actually took about 1 minute and 38 seconds. Let's look at our compose. Show raw output. Oh, show raw outputs. I want to look at it in a better way. But you can see here, oh wow, yeah, we got a good bit of information that it brought in the. So let me bring it up in a notepad so we can kind of view it. On hurricane care for a puppy, right? All that reasoning that came in. I can't browse the web in real time, but here's some widely accepted practical guidelines. Kind of goes through a beautiful 15-line haiku right here. So this was all that reasoning. I mean, if you're going to pay extra, go that 1 minute and 38. It's going to give you all this extra information, designate a safe space. And then here's a beautiful 15-line haiku presented as 5 haiku in a sequence. I like it. So that's another thing you can do is now you can base your reasoning. And then once you have that, imagine you have a form, a Power App, a custom application. You can come in here and do something like a choice, right? So we could say text we could change this to a drop-down list, and we could say minimal, as long as I can spell, as long as you can spell. Minimal, low, medium, high. All right, so let's make sure I spelled minimal right. So right here, minimal, not minimum. Okay, minimal. Okay, so now that we have a drop down, reasoning, all right, we can now pull that in to our effort here, and we can replace it with our reasoning. So now when we test, it'll actually ask us, right? So when we test, we'll have a drop down, and it'll ask us, what effort do we want to go to? So now right above me, we have our reasoning, and we can choose this in a dropdown. Now this is just for manual. Imagine how you could do this automated or scheduled. Like there's all kinds of ideas. Maybe you have a SharePoint list and it's scheduled, and you choose it in a dropdown, or a Power App, and then you choose it in a dropdown. The world is yours, right? So I'm just giving you how to do it. Now you can take it to the next level. Okay? All right, so let's look at the documentation a little bit more. The next is verbosity. And what's great about this is how many output tokens are generated. This is great if you don't want to spend too much, or if you want to allow the user to spend a lot, right? So you have high and low, and it looks like a medium too. But this would be great for something like classification, or when you want one word response. You only want one word response. This is going to save you money. It's not going to accidentally, right? It's not going to hallucinate and spend all your credits up. If you put it on low, let's try this one exactly here. What is the answer to the ultimate question of life? Geez, and everything. Let's try that. So right here in our input, we're going to ask it about the ultimate answer to life, and we want the verbosity, and hopefully I'm saying that right, verbosity, to be low. So text, I might have to take the whole thing. So right here, we can put that in. So we have our comma. Pay attention to your commas. We probably need a comma here. And the reasoning, let's go ahead and give it a test. We're going to keep the reasoning low, right, because the verbosity is low. All right, keep it minimal, I guess. Minimal reasoning. So I think that's like very fast, right? A very fast response. So boom, boom, boom. There it goes. Very fast response. 42. 42 it says. Why is it 42? That is interesting. Let me look at that again. So the question was, what is the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything? And it said 42. Let's give it a little more reasoning. So let's try this again with a manual. Let's give it a little bit more reasoning. Let's give it at least low. Will the answer be beyond 42? Oh, this time. Yeah, look at that. And this time it came out, 42. According to Douglas Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy, the actual question is unknown. So that's where 42 came from. So you saw how it, I wonder if that relates to the Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, if that question. Let's check out, it does. So it comes directly from that book. Interesting. Interesting. So it's a humorous, nonsensical answer. But what was important is with the verbosity on minimal, it was very short. We only got 2 characters, or probably like a few tokens. We increased it and then allowed it to respond with a larger sentence, and then we could figure that out. Okay, so let's go back to GPT documentation again. So there's custom tools. I'm not going to go into this yet. That's like multiple calls. It's for agentic AI. If you want to learn about this, leave a comment. We can do a video about custom tools with ChatGPT. Maybe we need to go into Azure Foundry for that, or more on agents. But pretty much is you're giving the GPT tools, right? And then you're allowing it to pick what tools. It's very similar to Copilot Studio, right? You give it tools and it gets to choose which ones it wants to use. Let's see, allow. Oh, so allowed tools. There you go. Tools choice. I want to show one more thing. And that is the difference between chat completions, right? So chat completions. So right here is responses and chat completions. You see that? So there's a difference. And this is where you can give it your AI like a tone. You can, you can kind of, you have a system prompt that you as the admin or developer has, and then you allow people to ask questions based on that tone or those specifics. So let's see here. So the URI is actually V1 chat completions, okay? And then there's some new things here. So there's model, message. So it's messages and role and content. So let's try that. So instead of input and reasoning, we'll take all that out. Okay. So we're gonna have 2 roles. All right. So we have our user role, right? That was like straight from the documentation. I don't see anything about system. Let's search system. But you can have a system role. So instead of just the user role, let's pay attention right here. We're going to have a system role, and it's going to be you are, and let me think. What do I mean? Everyone does pirates. People do all kinds of things. You are. Let's stay with the dog. A newborn puppy, and you respond like you are barking. Let's try something a little different there. And then the question, we could write something in here, right? Like what is Power Automate? What is Power Automate? Let's see. I think that's right. There may be this comma right here, maybe off. Let's try and save. Yeah, I think that comma right there should not be there. Okay, let's give it a test. Manual. And maybe the compose will be a little bit different this time. We'll find out. The compose may break. And the reasoning, we're not really using that right now, but we still have to fill something in. So now you're giving it like a system role. So think about that. It's very similar to Copilot once again, right? You have your system prompt and the user prompt. And so the user prompt is what you want from the user. Check out our compose. All right, give it a second. It's still loading. No output. So we're a little off on the compose, but we'll figure that out. And right here, so you can see this time it comes through as content. Content, woof, Power Automate is... So let me just grab this. And we're going to go to Copilot again. And we'll say, this time, I want to grab message content. So I just paste in the entire JSON, right? And then it comes through, it tells me the code I want to use. But what I do is I change body to outputs. So here in Compose, paste that in, I change this to outputs. Update, test, manual. We'll go ahead and do another manual test. So this is very useful too if you want a specific way for it to respond. I only want you to write code. I want you to always respond in HTML. I want you to always respond in JSON. You know, you're giving it a system prompt, and then you're allowing the user to prompt to have their prompt too. Very useful for prompt engineering. So here we are. Oh, look at that there. So here's the output. We'll just look over it here. Wolf Power Automate is Microsoft Cloud Services to automate boring tasks. That's, true. Workflows across apps and services, etc., etc. Look at that. It responded all that. Want a simple starter example or a quick guide to create your first flow? All right, so that's another thing is don't forget about the system prompt that you can add to it. Now there is one more role that you can call upon, and then that is the assistant, and that's for like multiple prompts. We're not going to go in that today. I kind of wanted to stay with the basics so you can understand how to use ChatGPT API and return things. And just these are building blocks, right? These are building blocks. You can take this now to the next level. You can create a custom connector. You can hook this up to Power Apps. You can hook this up to a custom agent. The world is yours. That's my point. And if you want to know more, leave a comment. We will keep working on these videos. We can do a custom connector. We can try Azure Foundry instead using different models. We can do Claude. I also have some Claude APIs. We could try that out. But today we kind of just focused on GPT-5, all the fun stuff you could do, tools, verbosity, and what was the other one? There was one more. And reasoning. And then you can kind of go in here and see the prompting guide, all the information if you want to look up it some more. All right, so all that details in there. My name is Andrew Hess. Hopefully this was helpful. If you want to know more, leave a comment. We'll make a video. Thank you. See you next week.